Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 96 today for the Japanese Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out. It was a whirlwind of a race at Singapore, 3 safety cars, and that wasn't really even one of the craziest things that happened in that race. The results alone were insane, and it was a very hectic one. It's been hectic pretty much since that Italian Grand Prix. I can't believe we had 2 races in a row like that from Monza, with obviously last to first challenge we effectively did at Monza, and then such a manic race at Singapore under the floodlights. But now we come to Suzuka, a more thoroughbred traditional circuit, and I mean, I'm sure the drama will continue. It is always dramatic around Suzuka in real life and in the game, and you can see going into this one, everything is so close between Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly, myself, and even Leclerc. Despite Leclerc having a DNF last race, he's still well within it. But now also, Max Verstappen is an outside shout. You know, if he did well enough in the last 3 races, you never know. It's maybe an outside chance, but, you know, it's still there and something to think about. And also, you're just generally, I think, you know, having the other drivers there, Verstappen, Giovinazzi, you know, he did quite well actually last race, all things considered. And then the Racing Points and McLarens from time to time like to get in there in the mix. It's going to be, you know, massive amount of spanner in the works, basically multiple spanner in the works for all of us who are trying to fight for the championship, because you've got all these other quick drivers who are just fighting for, you know, those last few good race results in the season, trying to round out their seasons individually quite well. So it's going to be quite interesting. But there's not really much to talk about before the Japanese Grand Prix in terms of the activity timeline. Just fill that out as much as we can. So we're going to delve straight into the race weekend and go into Q1 here on Saturday. All sunny, no rain forecast for this entire race weekend. So that's at least one less thing to worry about in terms of issues for us. And we're going to just try and do the best job we can in dry conditions, trying to go toe-to-toe with Gasly, of course. The car, you know, was feeling quite good around Singapore, just kind of we got caught out a little bit, you know, with the situation of those 3 safety cars and the way things worked out. And also, obviously, at Monza, we were massively quick and were able to get through. Got a little bit lucky, of course, but in general, the last 2 episodes, even though they've been so crazy, underneath it, as a team, I feel our car has been working very well indeed. So there's no reason we can't do well here if nothing goes wrong for us, basically, this weekend. But let's see. You never know, because other teams could turn up. You know, it's been a season where it's been so close that track to track, it really does make a big swing for what team might look quickest of all. But at the moment, we're looking pretty good. Q2 now. Obviously, Q1 was pretty easy, but Q2 here, Hamilton and Ricciardo both get knocked out. Sainz only just makes it in, the championship leader and the reigning world champion in P9 there. Verstappen showing some really good pace, and the Mercedes car, of course, last race's race winner. So really trying to vie for a late championship charge, maybe, is the Dutchman. But the 2 Ferraris look strong. But let's see how it goes into the top 10 shootout. Everything could change. And everything will change, because going into Q3, we have an issue, just like we talked about. Hopefully no issues. Of course we do. We have an issue. It's quite a big one, actually, as well.
Okay, hope you brought something to read today. There's an issue in the fuel system. We don't think it's anything terminal, but it is going to take some time to investigate and repair.
So a pretty hefty fuel system fault means that for more than half of this session, we are now in the garage. Out of any session, this is the worst one to have this in Q3, when you only have 12 minutes to go. So even though I had 2 free sets of soft tyres, unfortunately, we are only going to get 1 run. It's literally impossible to get 2 runs here. So we wait till the repair time is done, and we watch on. Gasly at the moment on provisional pole, Sainz in second, Leclerc third. I mean, it's no surprise really in the championship fight that it's us 4 leading the way, because we all 4 seem to always turn up and always just be there with consistency. And when it matters here in crunch time, 3 races to go, there you see my 3 competitors, my 3 rivals in the championship this season are right up there. So that's a bit worrying, because that means I have to perform. I have to try and get at least a top 4 to match them and be close to them on the grid for tomorrow's race on Sunday. So here we go then, 30 seconds left in the session rather, and it's time to go in the first sector. The car feeling pretty planted, but at the same time, I'm just a little bit worried about losing some time in sector 1. That's generally where I lose most of my time versus the AI on this game, I found, looking back at the previous seasons. Sector 2 and sector 3, a little bit better, especially sector 3, just obviously it's mostly just straights, and our car is very decent in a straight line. So let's see how this goes. Sainz goes quicker, then Gasly as well. So Gasly puts himself on pole position. We go across the line. What's it going to be? I think it was a pretty decent time. P2 in the end. So it's not quite pole position, but you know what? I'm very happy with that. It's a 1-2 for the team. Gasly on another pole position, shock horror, but wow, actually quite surprisingly, the 2 racing points come out of nowhere at the end of that session to lock out the second row, Albon and Stroll, and Sainz down to P5, Leclerc even further to P7. But for us at the team, very good showing. What did I say? Like I said, the car is working well, it's looking well. I'm surprised to see Ferrari down there because they look so quick in Q2, and generally in this series of ours, they've gone quite well at Suzuka, I think. So that's a bit of a shock, and also Sainz to be out-qualified by the 2 racing points. Interesting. So Racing Point might be a big threat to us tomorrow in the race. Let's find out. But this is a great place to be for the team, but for me as well, this is a good place to be. All we can do is focus on our teammate, and we don't have to worry about Sainz and Leclerc maybe right at the get-go at the race start. So let's go to the grid for Sunday.
We come to you live today from the Mie Prefecture in the south of Japan's Honshu Island for a race that has seen many title deciders over the years. Some simple, some controversial, but all contributing to a legacy that makes the Japanese Grand Prix an indispensable stop in any Formula One season. We're southwest of the city of Nagoya today at the unique figure-of-8 Suzuka circuit. 3.6 miles and 18 corners make up a lap here, with average speeds approaching 136 miles per hour. DRS will be available, of course, into the potential passing opportunity at turn 1, although the best place for overtaking will be through 130R and into the final chicane. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us, Ant, and tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Pierre Gasly lines up on pole position and the owner-driver alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Stroll, Carlos Sainz and Leclerc, Verstappen, Ocon, Giovinazzi and Lewis Hamilton, Ricciardo, Perez, Nobuharu Matsushita and Kvyat, Norris, Latifi, George Russell and Jack Aitken. De Vries, Magnussen, Schumacher and Valtteri Bottas begins the race from the back of the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Right, so no grid penalties to talk about, so here we are indeed on the front row of the grid. Gasly alongside us, and all we can see ahead of us is this safety car and the 5 red lights. Strategy-wise, it is going to be a little bit straightforward, unfortunately, for us. I think it's going to be a one-stop for everyone. I would be surprised if they do a 2, but a few people have been known to do that. I think also the Red Bulls have been very prone to going very aggressive, so although this is suggesting for us to do soft to hards, in the last 2, I think 3 seasons, even the Red Bulls have consistently done a soft to medium tire run, but for us, I think we're definitely going to do the hard tyres. The first sector in qualifying is okay. In the race on heavier fuel, the internal carcass temperature is just such a nightmare to handle on the soft tyre, so we do need the hard compound to lean on a little bit more. But at this race start, it's all going to be myself versus Gasly. Can we try and get an early jump on him and go for the race win, you would say? If we're 1-2 right now, that's got to be the aim for both of us, really. But obviously, only one of us can win this one out and maybe take the lead of the Drivers' Championship with 2 rounds to go after this race. Let's find out. As we now go to 5 red lights, the Japanese Grand Prix. 3 rounds to go here in Suzuka. 4 lights are out and we're underway. It's a good start for us, but Gasly cuts across us. We go to the left-hand side. Bit of oversteer that was. We went to the left and into turn 1. Ultimately, can't quite make any kind of move on Gasly. He's actually got us covered off, but at least we've had a clean start somewhat in terms of not losing positions like we maybe did at Singapore, of course, and we're still in P2. And from here, we can do some work. We can do some overtaking around this circuit on this game. So not all is lost, but that was a good chance maybe on lap 1 on the opener, because Gasly was very slow off the lights, but oh well. But behind us at the moment, Verstappen trying to make a move on the outside of Sainz. So Verstappen, like I said, the last race winner, going for it, really punchy, fancying his chances versus Sainz, and Leclerc is also there. So actually 3 people who are in the top 5 of this championship are now 3 wide, as Leclerc might go for the double pass. If he pulls this off, this will be quite something. No, not quite. quite, and Sainz will maintain the lead ahead of Verstappen there in what is P5 at the moment, of course, behind the two Racing Points, who I'm still very shocked at are there in P3 and P4, but fair plays to Albon and Stroll. So Sainz P5, Verstappen P6, and Leclerc in P7, and all the kind of praise I heaped on Giovinazzi earlier on, at the moment he's way down the order, actually behind in a sandwich of the McLarens of Norris and Ocon. But this fight continues on till the next lap. Still again, Verstappen comes at Sainz, and Leclerc again trying to make it 3 wide as best he can. He's really trying to get in the middle of what is a two-way fight, to be honest, between the Red Bull and Mercedes, but he's done it. He's actually got in the middle, and he's overtaken Verstappen. The Dutchman will be very annoyed with that, and now Leclerc can maybe try and go and chase after an overtake Sainz for what will be P5 in this race. Meanwhile, back to our POV, lap number 3 then, so action non-stop so far on lap 1, 2, and now 3 on to 4, as we're now almost pretty much bump drafting Gasly through that final corner, that chicane. He took that quite slowly on the left-hander, and we've got a good run. DRS obviously activated, it's close to the wall. Gasly gives us a bit of a squeeze, but it's pretty respectful into turn 1 though, bit wide, little bit on the rumble strip. We get a bit of a warning for track extending, but it's all calm. We can keep the race lead because we had the move done completely before we even got to the brake zone there, but a little bit fine on the margins, and just showing how much we're kind of pushing and having to push to maintain this pace against Gasly. This is a very hard circuit versus the AI. They are generally usually good around here, and that's showing right now. Lap number 7, we're getting a lot of oversteer now. A few laps have gone by. We've been maintaining the lead so far for these few laps, but now the tyre wear is kicking in, and Gasly is on the inside with a lovely little camera shot there, as we're now neck and neck into turn 1 again. Bit of contact made as Gasly tries to force us wide, and we've got a bit of oversteer in the rear and had to correct that into sector 1 now. The tyres are going to be screaming at this point in the front end, remember, and oh, there's a spin, and the Racing Points have made contact, and Sainz is now side by side one of them, and look how close everyone is now as they bunch up. I think there's some major damage for one of the Racing Point cars of Lance Stroll, I think that is, with front wing damage, and he's really holding up everyone. So I mean, look at that, there's like 10 cars within the space of one camera shot. That is unreal. It looks like an F2 race or even a lower category race, as Sainz is unable to overtake Albon quite yet, and Leclerc getting in the mix. This is actually insane. This is an unbelievable sight. Look at this, 2x2, Leclerc down the inside of a Racing Point car, Verstappen down the inside of Sainz. So Sainz has gone from trying to overtake a Racing Point to now being overtaken by not only the Ferrari but also the Mercedes car of Verstappen, as Leclerc goes round it. Oh, okay. Leclerc comes in, actually. I thought there was going to be a crash there. Leclerc comes in for an early pit stop with the Racing Point, who I still don't actually know which one it is. I think it was Stroll with the damage, but both of them come in. Stroll obviously to change his front wing, but I don't know why Leclerc has come in so early. Meanwhile, back to our fight, lap number 9, and it's still going on as we're so equally matched through 130. Our little lift to give him some room, obviously being my teammate, and you know, no matter what's happened in the past with ourselves and Pierre Gasly's AI in this career mode on this game, we've been very respectful actually as teammates, and it's been a pretty decent fight so far here at Suzuka. But it continues on for another lap, another straight, and it's time to kind of go a little bit defensive, a little bit cheeky, kind of parking the car in the middle, I must admit, to make sure Gasly can't get quite a good run. But you've got to do these things to try and maintain track position, and for now we hold out first place, and it's been a 1-2 from the get-go. So it's been a really great race so far for the team from that regard, but for us individually so far, obviously in the driving seat at the moment with the 1 in the lead. But we come in now, lap number 11. Gasly came in the lap earlier. My engineers asked me to extend the stint. I obliged, to be honest, because even though my tyres were feeling it very much on the front end, I feel like we want to be on the hard tyres for the least amount of time, because although they're a good compound to lean on, it's not actually a very quick tyre. It takes a while to heat up, so I'd rather be on them for less. But Leclerc, meanwhile, goes and takes the lead of this Grand Prix. Sorry? So maybe that's why Ferrari pit him so early. He's on a set of soft tyres though, so actually Leclerc leads the way, but he's on a soft compact, so he's doing a 2-stop. That means myself in second place now on hards, Sainz behind on mediums. Like I said, the Red Bulls like to do a 1-stop on medium tyres, so that's not a surprise. But the big surprise is Gasly. What's gone on here? He must have hit a load of traffic and an issue when he pit 1 lap earlier, because he finds himself a few places down the order in a McLaren sandwich now, which is going to be hard to get out of, because the McLaren cars, although they may not have the overall pace, they're so quick in a straight line that he might find it difficult to actually overtake them through 130R, for example, or the main pit straight. straight. So let's see how that progresses. But for us now, P2 and trying to look after that as best we can. But Sainz looking very quick on obviously faster compound attire, mediums, and Giovinazzi, where also he's come out of the two Ferraris have just turned up suddenly, and Giovinazzi's found himself in P4. He used to be down in P9 in the first stint in this race. So although it's maybe not been as manic in the same way as Singapore and the Italian Grand Prix was, it's still been a pretty crazy Grand Prix with so many position changes, and it's so competitive as Giovinazzi now tries to overtake Sainz. Can't quite do it. He really tried his best down the inside there. I thought he would have actually got it on traction, but I guess the medium tyres helping Sainz out a bit. But as we go on through the laps, Sainz will surely get slower and slower as those tyres wear out, and our hard tyres almost grip in a bit more, become a little bit more raceable in a sense. But at the moment, Sainz very much has the speed, and not even just in the corners in a straight line. Despite we're deploying ERS this entire straight, Sainz waltzes past us there into 130R, up into P2, but can we stick with him? We'll get DRS, of course, if we can just be with him on the tail end. He locks up a bit as well, so we pressurize him already. So down the hill, and we'll go on to that new lap, and DRS will pop open, but you've got to be wary also of Giovinazzi. He's looking pretty quick in this race as well, but we've got the overspeed. We're coming at Sainz to rate or not. Bit of contact as we leave a little bit late to pull out on the left-hand side, but the long way around on that same curb. We've gone wide on a few times ago. A warning for collision with Sainz, but we get the move done, and we're up into P2, but he comes knocking once again. But this time, like I mentioned, Giovinazzi now coming out of nowhere in P4, now up to P3, and he's side by side with Sainz. That was into 130R. He's got the move done, and now the Spaniard is actually under attack from Verstappen yet again. Sainz and Verstappen joint at the hip this race, it would seem, around Suzuka, and Sainz is struggling now. Look, he's really struggling. Verstappen's got him. So like I said, the tyres are maybe already going off a little bit for the Spaniard in the Red Bull car on the mediums. Meanwhile, we really give Giovinazzi a good old squeeze, trying to maintain track position here in P2. All the while, Leclerc is out there in P1 on a set of soft compound tyres. I don't know where on earth he's going to filter out in this Grand Prix. He now pits in on this lap, so on to lap 17. 10 laps to go in this thing. We're going to take the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix from Leclerc's teammate Antonio Giovinazzi, who again comes at us. We give him a good squeeze once again into turn 1. So the only way we can try and stop him is really trying to pin him in basically on the inside there and taking the racing line. So for now, we maintain P1, Giovinazzi P2, Verstappen in P3. Lap 20 though, the safety car, oh, is out because Alexander Albon has had a massive issue at the exit of 130R, and the Thai Brit, after qualifying so well on Saturday, is out. And what's this? This is not Giovinazzi, this is Leclerc. Oh no, oh, that is such a shame. Leclerc, 2 DNFs in a row for him, and he's parked up with a mechanical failure under the safety car. But that is such horrid luck. Of course, you guys know those random failures. That is completely, it's in the name, random. Like, you just can't really predict them at all. And the game is just really duppied Leclerc with 2 in a row. That is so... I've never seen the AI actually get that unlucky with 2 DNFs in a row. I guess, well, actually, you know what? I actually do know one driver that's got that unlucky. Lewis Hamilton, of course, in this career mode of ours. Maybe not so much this season, but in seasons gone by, he has had some very, very torrid periods of DNFing and just general issues. But as it stands then, under safety car, we're going green on this lap now, lap 22. As you've seen, we've been leading the train. We're still on the hard tyres. Everyone is on the same tyres they were on. No one's kind of trying anything clever. It's just myself and Giovinazzi, Verstappen, Sainz, Ocon, and then I think just behind Ocon is Gasly, our teammate, of course, and one of our other championship rivals. But we go on now, on towards lap 23 on the restart. I tried to play that as clever as I could in terms of trying to get the jump on Giovinazzi. I think we've done that on lap 23, and we maintain the lead, and he's not really too close to us on the rear end, but obviously there's still plenty to go in this Grand Prix. 4 laps in total, and on the very next lap, on towards the spoon curves, despite deploying ERS in this part of the circuit, which is very unorthodox, I must say, by the way, Giovinazzi still able to get a massive launch off that hairpin. I don't know what on earth that Ferrari is on at the moment, and he's danced his way round the outside. How on earth is he finding the grip for that there on the same compound of tyres? I'll never know. Giovinazzi takes the lead. We're so close to his rear end. We're going to try and fight as much as we can, but he blocks us off into the chicane. Can't quite make a move on the outside. Probably helps us though for the launch into this corner, but I actually forgot because of the safety car. There's no DRS on this lap. It's activated on this lap, so I have no aid to pull me in. That Ferrari's pretty good in a straight line, and although I close in, you see there, I was missing DRS to actually fully get alongside him into turn one, and so Giovinazzi maintains the race lead. We're in second place. Verstappen now in third, chasing after us, but you can see already now in sector one here, this is the sector where I'm weakest at, and Giovinazzi's pulling away already every single corner. You can see he's getting such a great acceleration there. That Ferrari must have been on lower engine mode earlier and is only now in rich mix because he didn't have this pace earlier. I don't know where it's come from. And behind us, Sainz! Oh no! Oh, what's going on today? What is going on here at Suzuka? What's in the water here at Japan? Sainz has made a mistake, and it's a very poor one because he's dipped a tyre into the gravel and he's gone so wide that he's gone down a few positions. He's now battling the very Racing Point car he was battling at the very start of this race when those two Racing Points crashed. Unbelievable stuff here. It's all come full circle, and that means it's elevated his teammate Ricciardo, the two McLarens, Gasly as well, and of course leaves Verstappen now on his own, away from the stress of Sainz, to now come and attack me for second place maybe. We've only got a number of laps left, and we're quite close still to Giovinazzi, within 1 second actually, so could we make a move maybe? Let's see, into the chicane. It's a really late dive there, as Giovinazzi for some reason actually a lot slower into that corner, but that's actually compromised my line then on the exit of the chicane. He's got him banged in a purple lap time, and meanwhile now Verstappen is the one attacking me, so we've really messed up that chance actually going too wildly into the chicane, and actually now we're so wide that we've invited Verstappen to actually go now side by side with us into sector 2. We're going to have to fight this because we need to try and at least get P2 here to give us the best chance of a result from this race. Looks like P1 is unfortunately gone from us. We're now going to have to just go and dance around with Verstappen as we go toe to toe. Look how close that is on the right hand side there. Supreme stuff between myself and one of my former teammates as he he tries to go down the inside, and we've just about managed to survive. I don't know how we've done that because I was certain I was wincing there because I thought I was just going to clip Verstappen and spin him round on that entry point, but thankfully not, and we cut on now to lap 27, the last lap of this Grand Prix, and due to all the fighting that we've been doing, Giovinazzi's gotten a massive lead actually relative to everyone else for this race win, so fair play. He's come back from far away back on the grid, remember, to win the Japanese Grand Prix. We just about somehow managed to salvage and save the P2 here against a very quick Verstappen, and we finish well ahead of Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly and Leclerc. So I think that may just be the lead of the Drivers' Championship going into the final two races, but my word, another very, very chaotic race.
Another action-packed Japanese Grand Prix comes to an end, and what a magnificent drive to take the win here today. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
So there we have it then. Antonio Giovinazzi wins the Japanese Grand Prix. We come home in where we qualified P2 then in the end. Actually a very good result because we go into the last two rounds, like I said, leading the championship then by 7 points to Gasly. How we've turned that around from just at the very start of the Italian Grand Prix weekend. Remember when we were so down about our chances of the championship? We've really turned it around. So never say never in Formula 1, like I always like to say, especially with the F1 games in career mode. Sainz down to third. Verstappen actually jumps Leclerc now for those double DNFs. So that's all to play for those positions. Sainz, I guess, is still very much in it, but I think it's an outside shot now, you would say, for Verstappen and Leclerc. So it's between myself, Gasly, kind of most realistically, Sainz still in there in the mix. But, you know, that mistake from him today really cost him a lot of points in what was a generally okay race for him, really. But that has been another hectic one. The last three have just been mental. But, guys, if you did enjoy this one, then hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.